Hello everyone, welcome aboard. So again we have brought you the new session of Daily Current Affairs Capsule, and this session has been brought to you by Himalaya IAS classes. If you want to join IAS 2021 batch or KS examination batch in English or Kannada medium, you can visit us at www.himalayaiasclasses.com, or you can reach out to us on this given number. Before beginning the session, the significance of current affairs for the civil services examination. In the prelims, you have straightforward questions coming from the current affairs topics. In the mains, you have direct as well as indirect questions from these topics. In essay, it is very important where you have to write multiple dimensions of any topic. And most of the interview questions are related to the current affairs topic. Now, what we are going to cover in this session, we'll tell you which news articles has to be read and how they are connected to the syllabus, and what are the exam important facts from those topics. So first article of today is from M.K. Narayanan, and it talks about whether we are really able to isolate China. Can India really isolate China in this global scenario? So syllabus wise, it is part of the international relations in the prelims, and in the mains, international relations is part of general studies paper 2. So the core argument of this article is countries like India must note that despite its belligerence, China is far from being quarantined given its economic clout. See, because of its economic integration with various countries of the world, it is not easy to isolate China. That's what it is trying to say. Okay. So we all know that a relationship between India and China, or be it China and United States, is not very good. India and China has an ongoing conflict on the line of actual control, and China and US are being involved into what is being called as new Cold War. Okay, not actually fighting, but taking steps against each other. Okay, then Chinese actions all around we have seen in Tibet, then in Hong Kong, taking away the autonomy of the region. In 1970s, China grabbed the control over Parcel Island. This is island in the South China Sea from Vietnam. 90s, it occupied Mischief Reef. See, for geography, just check these things in the atlas. Parcel Islands, Patle Island, they can be asked in the examination. An area of the South China Sea that Philippines had always considered its territory. Okay, so China seems confident that it's, so see, even after Chinese aggressive steps against all these countries, still its clout or its reach in the global economy is too much, so that countries cannot go ahead and just cutting themselves from China. That is not possible at this point. At the same time, India's relationship with the neighborhood is also not at its best. For example, Pakistan has released a map claiming Siachen, Balistan, Junagadh, Sar Creek, those places. Similarly, Nepal has released a map showing Kala Pani, Limpiadura, Lipu Lake as Nepalese territory. Okay, so secluding or isolating China, it's not going to be very easy. For example, there is a grouping or alliance, we all know that, against China, which is called as Quad. Okay, so now this Quad is having its member as India, United States, Australia and Japan. So even this alliance, which is targeted to at least contain the Chinese motives, it's not a military alliance, but there also Australia clearly said that we need to see that the economic impact is not bad on the Australia, because the integration is so much, you cannot just shut China off from all your relations. So isolating it completely, it's going to be a big problem. At the same time, China has initiated multiple projects with the Indian neighboring countries. For example, Trans-Himalayan multi-dimensional connectivity. So please do remember this. This is the Chinese building up a railway corridor in Nepal. Okay, Trans-Himalayan multi-dimensional connectivity network, and expanding China-Pakistan economic corridor to Afghanistan. So recently China held a summit between Nepal, Pakistan, Afghanistan and China in order to discuss feasibility of these projects. Then we also know that in the Iran, they have got They have signed a pact with the Iran, and whereas India's company has lost the contract as of now for the railway development at the Chabar port. So, giving all these situations, it's going to be tough to isolate China in the reality. Okay. Moving to the next, it talks about the hospital fire, which has taken place at two places, one in Andhra and one in Gujarat. So, what went wrong? So, sorry, it shouldn't be IR. It is part of disaster management, and it should be disaster management is part of general studies paper 3. So, basically, healthcare centers lack fire safety because government pays lip service to the regulation. See, basically, this is a problem in the regulation that such events, if they happen, there has to be a safety mechanism so that loss of life can be prevented, or such situations can be reduced. The instance of such situation can be reduced. The safety regulation of buildings used for healthcare delivery is a subset of overall need to regulate the hospitals, and states should use the recent deadly fires as the occasion to launch much delayed reform. Okay, in absence of safety systems, many died of fire, smoke inhalation, while those who survived have nothing but luck to count on. The situation cannot be allowed to continue. National Building Code, please do remember this. Okay, the National Building Code of India with additional fire safety provisions for the hospital is the basis for hospital accreditation system. Means once government gives accreditation to a hospital, it must comply with the National Building Code. But these should be made mandatory and enforced in all states. If smoke alarms and sprinkler system along with local firefighting aids are available, loss of life can be eliminated. Okay. Also, the patients, no matter in which hospital, private or public, they must be covered by substantial life insurance so that in case of such instances, some of its recovery can happen. Next article talks about the steel frame of India. So, what are the major challenges? Basically, talks about that. We have recently seen the result of UPSC coming out, and syllabus wise, it is part of the polity, All India Services, and mains polity is part of general studies paper 2. So, basically, the article says that compassion and honesty, okay, are the guiding principles of the entrant in this civil service. So what are the major challenges as of now? That's what this article is trying to highlight. You can use this while writing your essays or GS paper 2 answers, even your ethics answer. So one challenge is glaring insensitivity to the poor citizen and greed or corruption. Next is accessibility of be it district magistrate or the superintendent of police. If it is a small district, sometimes it is possible, but for large districts, again, they are inaccessible, which is very much to the disadvantage of this service and for the people. Then officials at the lower levels of the bureaucracy are either insensitive or demand illegal gratification to provide a service which is the fundamental right of every citizen. Plus qualitative improvement in the policing, which has to be ushered in by the new IPS recruits. So basically the article says that all the new entrants who are going to the civil services, they must see these challenges and try to solve these as much as possible in order to make the civil services efficient. So these are just input points for either GS paper 4, you can use it in GS paper 2 or in your essay topics. Next article talks about the GST, goods and services taxes, and how the center is going to compensate the states. So syllabus wise part of the economics, and economics is part of GS paper 3. So GST Compensation Act assumes a 14% growth target for states, which is unrealistic. So actually, prior to this GST is goods and services tax. It is a destination based tax which was implemented in India by 101st Constitutional Amendment Act. So earlier, what was the situation when states were exporting goods to other states? They used to get tax. They collect the goods, they collect the tax on the goods which was being exported to other states. But GST is now a destination-based tax. So states where goods are sold, they receive the tax. So let us say, for example, if Karnataka is manufacturing some products or Uttar Pradesh is manufacturing some products, they will not get the tax. So this implies that manufacturing states will lose while consuming states would benefit. So GST Compensation Act was brought in order to remedy this situation. This act assumed that GST revenue of each state would grow at 14% every year. See what this act was, whatever money these manufacturing states would lose, that would be compensated by the central government for next 5 years. So from 2017 till 2022, these compensation for loss of this tax would be provided, and in the calculation it was assumed that every year this tax, or the central government what they are getting, or state government what they are getting, would grow at 14% a year from the amount collected in 15-16 through all the taxes subsumed by the GST. So any state, if they are collecting tax less than this amount in any year, would be compensated for the shortfall. This is the problem of the compensation. So as of now, we know that due to COVID-19 pandemic, the revenue collection of be it a state government, be it a central government, has gone down. So there is no growth. So this calculation at this point of time will not work. So from where this extra money would come? Okay, so this has to come by the central government. One way is, in the time of pandemic, they can come to a middle ground, because any extreme central government giving the entire money, that is also not possible, because central government itself is running short of funds. State government losing all the money, that is also not possible, because they themselves are running short of funds. So that's why a middle path has to be looked at, where some of the money for compensation can be provided by the central government to the state government. Next article today talks about the relevance of World Health Organization. So it's an international organization, part of international relations in the prelims, and international relations is part of general studies paper 2 in the mains examination. So COVID-19 has infected more than 19 million people, claimed over 0.7 million lives, and devastated economy. So the core job of the WHO, okay, it was to play the dual role of a think tank and oversee global response to public health emergencies. But clearly, it was not able to achieve its goal, in overall scenario. It was reported that earliest COVID-19 positive case in China was reported in November, but China informed WHO about the disease only in January. So now it has been reduced to a coordinating body rather than a think tank, and plus to oversee the global response of this pandemic. So beholden to the interest of rich member states, its functional efficiency has been disadvantaged with the organizational lethargy, absence of decisive leadership, bureaucratic indolence, and underfunded programs, and inability to evolve to meet the needs of the 21st century. Okay, so that is why we have also seen countries like USA stopping the funding of World Health Organization. So this response has not been up to the expectation, and that's why the relevance is fading. That's what this article is trying to say. So very expected question. It can be in any mains exam, not in the prelims. That okay, what is the role of WHO, whether it was able to meet it or not, and that's where you can use these points. Next article today, it talks about the Naga peace talks, which has taken a road bump. So syllabus wise part of the internal security, and internal security is part of general studies paper 3. So Isaac Muvaya faction of National Socialist Council of Nagaland, okay, one of the largest Naga group, with which government of India signed a framework agreement in 2015. So as of now, what they are saying, interlocutor was appointed by Government of India, which is R.N. Ravi. He's the governor of Nagaland as well. And NSC and IM, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, is demanding the removal of the interlocutor. Why? Because a few days back, he has said that over a dozen organized armed gangs who are brazenly running their respective so-called governments, challenging the legitimacy of the state government. So these armed gangs are nothing but sometimes they are part of National Socialist Council of the Nagaland. So this statements, as per the NSCN, it makes them look like a law and order problem, whereas they are treating this Nagaland issue, where they want more autonomy, as a political problem. What they are demanding actually is, NSCN has been fighting for Greater Nagaland or Nagaland. It wants to extend Nagaland's border by including Naga-dominated areas in the neighboring Assam, Manipur, and Arunachal Pradesh to unite 1.2 million Nagas. Okay, so this is a part of internal security. Please do check it. It's a very expected question in the mains in GS paper 3. Next article today talks about UGC, University Grant Commission, says that states cannot cancel the exam because the conduct of exam lies with the UGC for higher education. So syllabus, part of prelims issues related to education, mains issues related to education are part of general studies paper 2. So UGC has said that Maharashtra and Delhi government, or any state government for that matter, they cannot decide whether the exam will happen or not. Okay, so the conduct of examination was entirely within the domain of UGC, a statutory body which has been created, which provides funds and accreditation to the various universities across India. University guidelines, UGC guidelines on examination and academic calendar for universities in the view of this pandemic. It was revised on July 6, and it has been given in consultation with the Professor K.C. Puhad committee. So please remember, Puhad committee was related to the guidelines for university exams. Okay, this can be your prelims question. Next article, again we are continuously seeing this about EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment draft notification, which has been prepared by the government, and it's being criticized for one of the violation committee clause. Syllabus wise, part of the EVS, and EVS is part of General Studies paper 3. So Prakash Javadekar, the Minister for Environment, has said that it is still a draft, so consultations are being done, and the necessary changes will be made. Okay, so he was also talking about reducing man-animal conflict, especially the elephants, as multiple scenarios or incidents what we have seen, like in Kerala. Asian elephant comes in the endangered category in the IUCN list. Please do remember that. This is just extra point which was there in the news, so I just took it up. Actually, this article is basically about the violation committee. So in the new rules, actually what happens, some projects which were stalled because of earlier EIA, Environmental Impact Assessment rules, now they can be reviewed, and after paying a penalty, they can be allowed. That's what the whole point, that if the clearance permits illegally constructed portion of the project to remain, or illegal operating part of the project to continue, there is no direction for demolition of the illegal portion or reduction of the illegal enhanced capacity, then it is not a prospective clearance. It is being granted ex facto. That's what is the criticism of the various ex-ministers like Jairam Ramesh or environmental critics who are pointing this out, that this must be remedied before we apply this new environmental impact assessment. Next article talks about self-reliance in the defense manufacturing production. So prelims wise, manufacturing part of the economy, and economy is part of general studies paper 3. So indigenous platforms in the negative list to avoid imports. So some examples of indigenous platforms like LCA, light combat aircraft like Tejas, Pinaka, which is a guided missile system, Akash, which is an air-to-air missile. For a product to be considered indigenous, percentage of indigenous content has to meet minimum qualifications. So like not 100% it has to be made to Indian, you can have the parts from outside, but still a good percentage, which will be decided by the government, has to be made in India for anything to be considered as indigenous. Then Atmanirbhar Saptah was launched to modernize defense infrastructure for creating manufacturing capability and investment in the defense manufacturing. And Defense Minister has inaugurated 3 facilities for servicing T-90 tanks in Dehradun, for Pinaka guided missile system in Chandrapur, and remote controlled guns at Trichurapalli. Okay, so please do remember this. What is Pinaka? What is Akash? What is T-90? T-90 is India's tank. Okay. China and US relations, again China has slapped sanctions on the US senator. So prelims part of international relation, and international relation is part of general studies paper 2. So China has imposed visa restrictions on US official. We all know that. US has also earlier imposed restrictions on Chinese officials for human rights abuse in the Muslim majority Xinjiang province. Okay, it is located in the northwestern part of China, and concentration camps, fundamental rights violation, human rights violation, a lot of news are coming up. And again, this is another progress in the bad China-US relations. Next article today talks about the balance of payment, which is going to be strong this year, even after this COVID pandemic situation. Prelims wise, part of economics, and economics is part of general studies, paper 3. So India's balance of payment this year is going to be very, very strong. Okay. Interesting point is how. See, India's export has fell to the 4th straight months. Okay. But the thing is that import has also dropped. So we all know that balance of payment consists of current account and capital account, and current account basically has what? A trade deficit, export minus import. So both export and import has reduced, but import has reduced too much as well, because of which the balance of payment for India is going to be good. So please take a look at balance of payment. Tell me in the comment section what is current account and what is capital account. So that was all for today's session, guys. So this is a list of do's and don'ts which you can follow in order to maximize your chances of selection. And please do not forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, and to press the bell icon so that you can get notified whenever we upload any new video related to current affairs. So thanks a lot for watching, and please stay tuned for more updates. Thank you.